Hi, everybody. This is Rhonda Craig again. Lesson number 30. This one's going to be about Queen Esther, the book of Esther. This is when it took place. Last time we talked about the Persians taking over the Babylonian Empire, and the Persian Cyrus allowed them to return to Jerusalem in 3 waves. But some of the people didn't go. Some of them stayed in Persia or the old Babylon. And in the city of Susa, there was quite a community of Jewish people. And one of these people that was very well respected was named Mordecai. And Mordecai had overheard a plot to assassinate the king. I'm not sure which king it was. We don't really care. But he told the king he made him aware that there was a plot to assassinate him. And because of that, it was documented. And because of that, Mordecai was very well thought of. But he also had someone in his in his court named Haman, and he wasn't even a Persian. He was from some other place, but he'd worked himself way up in the court system there for the king, and but he hated Mordecai because Mordecai didn't give him the time of day. He would not bow down to him. Well, this king was, he had a big drunken party. And he had all of his cohorts there one night. And they were all feasting and drinking. And so he called for his queen, Vashti. Some people call it, or some scholars call her Vashti, to come and dance for them. And because she was very beautiful, she wouldn't do it. And it made him so angry that he banished her. I'll get me a new queen. And so he set out to get a new queen. So he had what I guess a beauty contest. And Mordecai was raising his niece, Esther. And she, too, was very beautiful. And so he entered her, and lo and behold, the king selected her. But he didn't know she was Jewish. And I don't know that he knew Mordecai was. But at that time, it was the edict that the queen could not approach the king unless she was summoned under the possibility of death. Well, Haman, because he was so angry that Mordecai, he didn't like the Jews, period. I mean, he just thought they were scum. So he goes to the king, and no doubt the king was probably under one of his drunken stupors again, and convinces him that he needs to sign a decree that on a certain day that, and how they got that day was he rolled the dice. They called them pours, I believe. And on that day, they could be annihilated. They would just be wiped out. Wouldn't have to mess with them anymore. Well, the king thought that was all right. They weren't his people anyway. So, when Mordecai found out about this, he goes to Esther. He sends word to Esther, this is what's going to happen. These are your people. You are our only hope. And she says, I can't do that. I can't go to the king. That's under penalty of possible death. And he says, who knows, but what this is why you were here for such a time as this. Well, yeah, she says, well, you ask my people to pray. and fast. So she comes to the conclusion that if I perish, I perish. So she goes to the king, and he says, what can I do for you? And she says, well, I've planned a meal, a nice meal, if you'll come to my quarters. And bring your friend Haman. Bring him too. Oh, well, very good. So they do. And so they go and they dine and they have a good time. And during that time, old Haman has erected some accounts in the Bible call it a gallows, but I think it was a pole to impale him on, because some say he was impaled, but he had that erected, and to impale Mordecai on. And Esther knew this, and but before, so they had a good time at their dinner, and she said, "Well, I want you to come back another time." I mean, they set aside the time, and before that, though, the king couldn't sleep, and so he, to amuse himself, he asked for the court documents, or the chronicles, to be brought in and read to him. And while they're reading to him, now all this is a hand of God. He reads about Mordecai, that assassination plot that he thwarted, and he says, "Did we do anything for him? No, nothing was ever done for Mordecai." Oh, so that's how he knew about Mordecai. He jogged his memory. Well, he calls Haman in, and he says, "Haman," he's summoned into the Haman thinks he's going to award me something here. I've really found favor. Old Haman gets in there and he says, "Haman, what do you think we ought to do to somebody that has served me very, very well?" Old Haman says, "Oh, I think you ought to put him on a horse and parade him around town, and everybody bow down to him and everything." And he said, "That is just a wonderful idea." He said, "I want you to go get Mordecai and put him on the horse, and you lead the parade and let everybody bow down to him and praise him for that." Mordecai was absolutely mortified. Well, they go to the next dinner, and that's when Esther tells him Haman's plans. And Haman begged Esther, "Save me, save me." And of course it didn't do any good. Well, guess what? Haman was impaled on or hung, whatever, on the very gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Such a wonderful lesson. Good triumphs over evil. And it's a total reversal. Well, Esther asked him, "You can't undo the decree, I know. But can you make a new decree that they have the right to defend themselves? And anyone who has plotted against them, they can come against them?" Yeah, that's a good idea. So that's what they did. And so that instituted the festival of, we call it Purim, but it's not, it's Purim. And so the Jewish religion today still celebrates the festival of Purim when their people were delivered. So that's the story of Esther, and that happened around about now that we've been talking about. So hope you enjoyed the story about Esther. Read it. It's wonderful. Bye.